Sziasztok, mindenkinek! Hello everyone, my name is Christine, and I am the host here at the Hungarian Heritage Podcast, the show where we connect your modern life to your Hungarian heritage. We will build bridges between Hungarians who live in Hungary to those with Hungarian heritage who live in all other parts of the world. Not to mention the bridges that we will build between the generations. This podcast is a place where everyone is welcome, where you don't even need to be Hungarian or speak Hungarian to join in on the fun. We will talk about all of the things that we love about Hungary, the Hungarian people, and the Hungarian culture, as well as the cool things Hungarian people are doing around the world. We will discover new things, review things you may already know, and we will have a lot of fun along the way. So, if you're looking to make that first connection to your Hungarian heritage, or you're looking to dig a little deeper, then you're in the right place. Join me as we grow this community and continue to connect the circles of Hungarians around us. On this episode of the Hungarian Heritage Podcast, I will be speaking with Michael Nemeth, or Hungarian Chef Michael, as he's known on social media. Michael is here to tell us all about how he has fully embraced his Hungarian heritage by jumping into his Hungarian language learning and his adventurous Hungarian cooking, both on the stove in his apartment and out on the hiking trail in his Bograch. You know, we will of course start the discussion by talking about Michael's Hungarian heritage and how his Hungarian lineage took a lucky turn, allowing Michael the ability to apply for dual citizenship. Along with Hungarian chef Michael's adventures learning Hungarian and taking long hikes, stay tuned to hear all about how 2 more adventures that Michael has coming up very soon. Please join me in welcoming Michael Nemeth to the Hungarian Heritage Podcast today. He's also known as Hungarian Chef Michael out on social media, and I'm really looking forward to hearing everything he has to say about his social media endeavors when it comes to cooking and hiking. So, welcome, Michael. Thanks so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's definitely a pleasure, and I'm definitely glad to share some of my story and share with everybody that the journey that I'm currently on and everything that goes along with it. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, as you know, or may not know, we always start the interviews now with talking a little bit about our Hungarian heritage. And as you will hear, Michael and I have a little bit of a connection because he used to live in New Jersey, but I'm going to let him tell you all about that. So, tell us about where you grew up, who's Hungarian in your family. Tell us all about your Hungarian heritage.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in New Jersey, in Fairfield, New Jersey. The town is actually they have the most Italians per square mile in the United States. So that's a little fun fact. But yeah, I in a Hungarian household for my earlier years. I was babysat by my great grandmother. So my mama would babysit me and my sister while my mother and father were at work. So
Right.
unfortunately, I wasn't able to learn the language and everything like that, but I definitely was able to be introduced earlier in my years to the Hungarian culture, and it was it was interesting, but I don't have too many memories from it. So the stories I hear are very interesting. My father is the Hungarian side of the family. My mother is Italian. So I guess to jump into how my family got here, I do have a lot of documents that I gathered throughout the family of just the history of where we kind of came from, how we settled here. And I'm still digging into it. I'm only at surface. There's a lot of digging into that I have to go through all these papers, and everything's online now. And so I got some learning to do on my own part. But my great grandmother, she was born in, I believe, in New Jersey, New York or New Jersey. So my great grandmother is a U.S. citizen. She was born here, but then her father took her back, and a few of her siblings, I believe, she was one of nine. So she had a pretty large, it was a pretty large family at the time. And her father brought her and a few siblings back to Hungary in around 1921 to Ungvar, so which is now Ukraine. So Ukraine took over Ungvar, and that's actually where my grandmother was born. So they moved back to Hungary. She worked out of the house, sewing men's dress shirts and just working out of the house. And yeah, she had my grandmother. She was born in 1943. And speeding up a little bit, 1949, her and the children ended up moving back to the United States. So my grandmother was one of four. So my grandmother and my aunt Teresa were born in Ungvar, and then my uncle Bela and Imre were born in Pécs. Came back to the United States and settled in New York. So that's kind of where they were.
So you said that your great grandmother was born in the US and then moved back to Hungary. So then your
Yeah,
grandmother was born in Hungary,
correct.
which is actually fortuitous for you because
Yeah,
that will enable you to get your Hungarian passport.
correct. Yeah,
Right, exactly. So that little move back to Hungary helps out. So that was
definitely.
great. Thanks, great grandma, right? So
Yeah,
that worked out. It's amazing how much there is when you start digging, which is
yeah,
pretty cool, and you find out like the places, and it's cool that you have that information on hand.
yeah.
Even though like you're digging into it right now, you have a lot of it, which is great. So just knowing the names helps you get the
Exactly.
documents that you might require to get your citizenship papers and passport.
Exactly. And I'm just scratching the surface as of right now. This is,
Right.
really brief summary of what I was able to, discover. And yeah, exactly. When Russia occupied Hungary after the war, that's when they ended up moving the
Right.
family to the United States. Figured it was the right decision. So my great grandmother took her and the children back to the United States, but left my great grandfather, in Hungary because he had to serve in the war,
Right.
or he was not allowed to leave because he was not a U.S. citizen. Now, my great grand
Mm.
born in America, making her a U.S. citizen, so that's why she had to pass.
Lucky, right? I mean, it's crazy how all these rules were in place as far as movement and the ability to move from one place to the next during that
Yeah,
time. So we're lucky that we live in more peaceful times and hopefully it stays that way. But good for you because now you've got all of this information. And I don't actually know if we even talked about getting your Hungarian passport, but is that something that you've started investigating regarding gathering your information?
yes, definitely. I am looking into it. I have people reaching out to me,
Nice.
trying to help me. So building this little channel, it's kind of a community that I'm creating, and everybody's very helpful and giving, and it's really interesting how everybody sees that you want to create this little channel, little community, and they all want to help.
I think that's great. I think that's what's great about human beings that they really do want to help, even though if at first you feel like, oh, I don't know, should I ask? I think people really are genuine at heart and they do want to help out. You've been researching your heritage. You've really
Yeah,
not, you've always been connected to your Hungarian heritage, but food is really where you've made the strongest connection. And
correct.
how we met and connected over social media was because of food. So, but we'll get to that. So, tell us how you became interested in cooking. Like, who taught you how to cook? Like, who was your biggest inspiration? Or did you have multiple inspirations for cooking Hungarian food? Tell us.
That's the strangest thing. That's what a few people ask me, and I can't give them a good answer because I really never enjoyed cooking. I guess it's like when you get older, it's like whiskey, I guess. It's an acquired taste, right? So
Hmm.
when you end up just enjoying it. So I ended up trying to cook chicken paprikash for the
Right.
first time, and it came out absolutely. It was fabulous. It was
That's great.
very nudge on phenom. So it came out very good. And from there, I wanted to try something else and continue trying. So I guess that's kind of how I got into cooking. And there's definitely a little bit of a deeper story behind it. But when I did get into, cooking, and because I live by myself, so I obviously cook for myself, but cooking American food, I grew up in America, and I kind of want to I always challenge myself, I guess. That's just how I've always been. So trying a new cuisine and, kind of being able to relate to my heritage and the Hungarian, that it was the perfect combo. So I
That's
put the
great.
two together, and that's kind of how the spark ignited. So yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. And plus, you had to eat, right? So,
Yeah,
you had to cook for yourself. So, why not try some new things? So, and look where it's taken you. We're
exactly.
here. We're talking about your social media and the things that are coming up for you, which we'll get to. So, now you don't live in New Jersey anymore. And I know that in New Jersey, and for people that don't know, there's a high concentration of Hungarian people. Even though
Yeah,
the communities have spread out over, the decades between New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, like you could throw a stone and find a Hungarian. So now
yeah,
you live in Nashville, right?
yeah,
So
yes.
have you encountered any Hungarians in Nashville?
So I haven't, and that's kind of the sad thing is I'm a little isolated out here with there's no Hungarians out here. I do have a Ukrainian butcher shop down the street,
Okay.
so I do go there, and they have Bende products
Oh,
and
good.
Solana and
Mhm.
Kolbas. So that's what you see in most of my videos is the Bende product, and
Yeah, those are popular in Hungarian communities. So at least you
yeah,
have that you can access, which is great.
yeah. So I do have that, and what I do on my travels when I do travel and go on adventures
Mhm.
and new state I never been before, one of the things I do look up is any Hungarian restaurants within that area. So when I went to Seattle for the first time, I was able to stop at this restaurant, little family owned restaurant, a Hungarian restaurant. I can't recall the name. It was like
Right.
Budapest Cafe or something like. I
Probably, right?
Yeah, I had paprika with
Right.
potatoes on the side, and uboko shallot
Oh,
for salad, and
so
it was,
good.
yes, yeah. So
That's awesome. I feel like, and I'm going to give a shout out to another episode that I did with, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Hugo app. In your travels, you can look up Hungarian places on the Hugo app. So shout out to Hugo. I'll
you
make
got
sure that I tag them in this episode, but
that.
you should definitely use that in your travels because that'll bring you to a lot more places.
Oh yes, it actually made it to my homepage on my iPhone because, like I said, every you travel, I go on Hugo. I'm in the airport, so I want to kill some time, and here I am
Sure.
on the find. Okay, restaurants. There's, a little park in Colorado, a a dedicated park for Hungarians and stuff like that. So I really enjoy using that app and
That's
just seeing
awesome.
the United States. So
Yeah, for sure. And again, another plug for Hugo, but you can upload new places that you find too. So,
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
that's pretty cool. So that should be part of your adventures, looking for new places that aren't on the Hugo app, so you could add them on there.
yes, yeah,
So, okay, well, everybody should check out the Hugo app. This is not an ad, but since we've mentioned it, go check it out and download because it's a great resource. So you don't have a lot of Hungarians near you. At least there's a butcher shop that sells the Benda products. So
yeah,
now you're probably the go-to source for Hungarian cooking with your friends now, right?
yeah. I'm pretty much, as far as I know, the only one in Nashville, Tennessee that cooks Hungarian. So that's, as far as I know, the only one in Tennessee even. So
Wow. I feel like you are gonna make a lot of good business now in
yeah.
Nashville. I feel it, which is
So
great.
I do have some ideas of,
Mhm.
insurance to be able to go to the little farmers market down the street
Oh,
and
cool.
a little Hungarian dishes, homemade, pre-made Hungarian dishes that you throw in the microwave, and there you go. You got, cooked.
Nice. Lots and lots of things coming up for Hungarian Chef Michael, so stay tuned for that. You cook a lot of traditional Hungarian foods. Now, I'm going to touch upon how we kind of connected, and that was over social media because you
Yeah,
put yourself out there. Hey,
yeah.
I'm Hungarian Chef Michael. I'm going to learn Hungarian and cook along the way. So tell us how that, like, how did you get inspired to just put yourself out there and just go for it? Tell us about that.
So I am a very outgoing person, and if anybody has a relationship with me, they know that if I'm part of the party, it's a party. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Being able to create a page that tracks the progress of me learning the language and working on my cooking skills, which is a big one. So being able to teach myself the language and the cooking and everything like that on my own is kind of what I was aiming for.
right.
And now that I'm a little bit deeper in, I'm starting to incorporate other things. I want to incorporate the hiking and the adventures I go on, so
Mhm.
people Outdoorsy would be interested, and then they start viewing my other videos, and now they're interested in other Hungarian dishes, the other ones that I'm not cooking in the woods, and that's kind of where this is all coming from. And just being able to pass on the tradition for my future family and keep it alive. I don't want to speak for my family or anything, but I don't believe anybody is currently interested in learning the traditions or anything like that, or any of the cuisine, or learning the language. So I would like to pass that on. I don't want it to die at, my father, because he speaks,
Right.
but he never taught me. So it wouldn't be passed on unless I push
Right.
myself. So there I am at work
Mhm.
practicing numbers 1 through 10, and practicing how to introduce myself and everything like that. So I'm really working hard to push
Yeah.
it
Well,
myself.
I
So
I do have to say that it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there, number one. So
yeah,
kudos to you to say, I'm going to put myself out on the internet and do this thing. And it's been very well received. I think, your videos are great. But it does take courage. And so congratulations for that because I don't know if everybody has like the fortitude to do so. You
thank you.
clearly have a personality that it works, so you have to have the right personality for it. Um, so courage, personality, and really just like risk taking, but like positive risk taking. And I think
Yeah,
that's what you just want. And it's fine that no one else in your family is interested because everybody has their own interesting goals. And this one
yeah,
is yours. This one's
yeah,
yours. So I can say that, since I've known you over social media and when we've spoken and communicated, you are definitely improving in your pronunciation. Not that like I am an expert, but like you can really see like the effort behind all of your endeavors. So keep it going. I think you're doing a great job. So I
yeah,
feel like we need a lot of risk takers because people such as yourself, you're going to be the role model for someone else to
yeah,
cook or take a risk, even if it's not like the same thing, but just to you're inspirational. So I think those are important things and those are important people to have in life, even if they don't know you personally and they're just like
yeah.
watching you on the internet. So good job for that. let's talk a little bit about like the recipes. So I know my experience with cooking Hungarian food, and
Yeah.
I'm old enough to be your mom, which is cool, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
but I have the similar experience that like the nannies and mamas, they didn't really write down recipes. Like you might
Yeah.
have been next to them when they were cooking all of the things, is what my experience was, but nothing was written down.
Yeah.
So that's like a difficult task sometimes to recreate that, because sometimes we wait too long to figure out like, oh, like how many cups was this and how many pinches of that, but it's
Yeah.
never really an answer. It's never
Yeah.
really like an exact measurement that we're familiar with. They're just doing it. So
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but Pinterest for me has been great because it gives you like the opportunity to see, well, it kind of looks like that, a
Yeah.
little bit like that. Maybe if I put those two recipes together, it kind of looks like what my grandmother used to do. So, how did you come up with the recipes that mirrored the food that your family used to make? How did you do
So
that?
I'm on the phone with my grandmother a lot.
Oh, that's
So
good. Okay.
that way. So this also opened up a very a heartwarming bond between me and my grandmother. So I live in Tennessee now, and I have no family out here. So my grandparents and my parents live in New Jersey. So being able to call them up and ask my grandmother, oh, what should I do for this? And I made the soup a little too, or I made the stew a little too soupy. What should I do? And this and that. And I'm learning that you could really shape the dish on your own. Yes, you're going to follow a recipe, but like I said, if the
Hmm.
stew soupy, you're going to throw in a little bit more flour, and then maybe next time you're going to know, okay, the recipe called for 3 cups of water. Now you're only going to put two in. So
Right.
that's kind of how I've been going about, how much ingredients to use, what to throw in at what time, always, how long should I cook the solana and this and that. And that's kind of where all that's coming from. And yeah, I'm on the phone a lot with my grandmother, and she's walking me step through step.
Oh.
It's a great connection. Yeah.
That is so amazing. And she's probably living for all these great phone
Yeah.
calls. And you've opened up a whole new like realm of excitement for her, I think,
Yeah.
having these phone calls, which is great. I would love, and everybody else I'm sure would too, if you could ever do a FaceTime with her when
Yeah.
you're doing one of your recipes in your
Yeah.
videos. How cool would that be?
Oh, that'd be.
Yeah.
I figure out how I could get the phone to. I record with my phone. That's the thing. But
Right.
that's actually a really good idea, and I think I could. I think I'm getting some ideas in the back of my
Yeah,
head.
I'm excited for this. Like, I can't wait to see grandma. What do you call your grandma?
I just call her grandma. Yeah.
Okay, that's
'Cause-
cool.
So I would call my great grandmother Mama, but I know in Hungarian you would say nudge Mama.
I'm not like
Or
100% sure. Like, I know nudge mama is kind of
okay,
grandma, so it's
grandma.
possible you were calling your great grandma like nudge mama because other people were like older in your family. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so but yeah, that's cute though. I'm excited. I want to see some grandma
Yeah.
cameos in these videos. It's like a
Yeah.
whole new line of videos for you. I love that. So
And
I don't want to take credit for it, but I will be excited when I see that come to fruition.
I would love to be able to, have her in the kitchen with me and
Ooh,
put something together. Because when I do fly home to New Jersey, the past 2 times I went home, I was able to cook for the family and just have everybody come over. Every time I go home, I make sure everybody gets
yeah.
together. We have a nice little dinner or an activity that we do together. So it's always nice when I come home. So, but yeah, I'd love to have her in the kitchen and helping me, and doing a little something over here while I'm over here, and it'll
Oh,
be.
that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great because I know you're gonna think of something amazing and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So everyone else stay tuned for grandma in the videos
Yeah.
because she's coming. I love it. I love it. So yeah, so like you're doing a lot of the traditional recipes, which is great. So people that see your videos that might not necessarily have the recipes themselves, not that they couldn't like look them up, but like when you watch somebody else cook it, you're like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah,
That doesn't seem so difficult because sometimes when you look at a recipe written out, you're like, oh, I don't know, right? But like
yeah,
watching you do it, it seems fun, and you give all the ingredients, you say them out loud, you show everybody what it is,
yeah,
and I feel like you might inspire people to just take that risk in the kitchen and try, making like a chicken paprikash or, a cheese noodle or something like that. So
yeah.
that's great. I think that's what it's all about. So you post videos about cooking, obviously, because you're Hungarian Chef Michael. But Hungarian Chef Michael's been taking his cooking on the road and he's been
Correct.
going for some adventures, which I'm also living for those videos because that's super exciting what you're doing. So tell us where you've been cooking while you're hiking. I'm just going to say it. You go hiking and you cook in the woods. Tell us about that. What inspired you? How did you come up
Yeah,
with that? And how did you get everything in those crazy places and actually make it work? Tell us all
yes.
about it.
It's I'll admit it's very difficult, but it's that I love to challenge myself and I love to experience new things. And this is just something that I came up upon and had the idea. I love to hike and I found out that I love to cook. Let me put the two together. So that's kind of where that came from. And being able to go into the woods and find a little water hole or a little waterfall and be able to cook next to it while going for a swim and having a water resource right there so I don't got to carry it in my backpack is huge. And it was just something that I knew I would enjoy and I knew I would have interest in doing. So almost every weekend I try to go out and hike, whether that's I'm going to be cooking or just going for an average hike. And that's kind of where, yeah, it all came from. And now here I am with a borgarach over a fire pit. I'm cooking stuffed peppers or percuts. So yeah, those are the most fun. I'll admit they're very challenging, but I have the most fun doing it because it's just being in the woods, having a plate of Hungarian food, and just taking in the nature. It's like you're combining two of the best worlds. So,
Yeah. And so for those who may not know, which I know they're going to know after they go look at your videos, but you cook, and I'm probably not saying this the right way, in a bograch, which is
yeah,
kind of like, for lack of a better description, almost like a witch's stew pot, essentially, on like
yeah,
a tripod.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's
So
a
tell
cold.
us about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't believe I pronounce it correct either. I pull my R's yet. So
Okay.
my R's are very flat. Whether I was trying to speak Spanish in school growing up or now trying to learn Hungarian, I can't roll my R's. But
You'll get
yeah,
there. You'll get there.
the Borgarach is a it translates to cauldron. So yes,
Yeah.
it's like a witch's cauldron that
Yeah.
put over the fire pit and you could pretty much cook anything in it. When I was doing research on it because I wanted to combine the two, the hiking and the cooking,
Hmm.
and the boar garage, and I was able to get it from a company in New York, and I wanted to cook certain I wanted to learn the recipes that I could cook within it. So I reached out to my uncle Peter and he was telling me that
Yeah.
anything you on the stovetop you could cook in a borgarage. There's a few things like fashit, fushi rosette that maybe wouldn't be the best because it's a pot and you're not frying in it like but it's it's something you could cook anything in pretty much, and that's why I'm challenging myself to cook stuffed peppers in it or stuffed cabbage in the near future and any
Yeah.
dish.
Well, it's funny, not funny, but it's ironic, I guess, because there are so many Hungarian dishes that really are one pot dishes.
Yeah,
So whether you're cooking it on the stove or out, in a cauldron or a bograch, if that's the correct way to say it. I'm sure someone will correct me, and thank you for the correction. Um, it works because it's one pot. So, but you've
yeah,
you've taken this, you've taken your adventure of cooking on the road and turned it into a double adventure, which is pretty cool. So, do you take your own videos? Is somebody else taking the videos for you, or
yeah.
are you out there by yourself?
Yeah, this is strictly by myself. So currently I don't know anybody that's as adventurous as me. So
Okay.
for me, bring them on an 11-mile hike and then set up camp for to cook for the next 2 hours and then have a meal and then hike 11 miles back with the leftovers. So there's a lot of behind the scenes that
Yeah.
I film, and maybe I should post a couple bloopers and a couple of how I set up and little
Ooh,
so that's something that
that's
came
a
in
good
the back.
idea.
Yeah, so that's something came in the back of my mind, and it's fairly easy to set up. It's just being able to have the temperature of the fire consistently and being able not to burn your onions.
Exactly. So you're feeling the struggle of the Hungarian herdsmen out on the plains when they were making their
Yeah,
goulash in their bograch. So you feel like it's an art form. So you have to get used to the fire and the temperature. So that's pretty cool. So I'm definitely here for the blooper reel. Can't wait for that. I am going to spoil one blooper. If you go back and look at Hungarian chef Michael's videos, you do drop your phone. Not that
oh
that's funny, but you do mention in one of your videos that like you
yeah,
dropped your phone. So hopefully you were able to recover
yeah.
your footage.
Yeah, so it wasn't my phone, it was the drone. So I do have a few cameras specific for certain shots.
Oh,
So
nice.
I do have a drone, and unfortunately I did hit a tree. I'm not too experienced with flying drones yet. So I did hit a tree and it fell into a little stream or a river,
Right.
and it merged, and the SD card on it that was in it I wasn't able to get any footage from it, but still
Hey,
came
but
out
you
with
took a risk, and next
yeah,
time you'll fly the drone better. So you're risking it with the recipes, you're risking it with
yeah,
cooking out in the wild, and you're also learning new technologies along the way. So at least the hiking, it seems like you're a little bit more of an expert in that. It seems like something that you do often. So that's good. Now, you're cooking online and you're cooking out in the wilds. Now, you're going to be writing a cookbook. That's what it
yeah.
says on your social media. So, tell us how you got inspired to do that and give us a little bit of a sneak peek of what we might have to look forward to with this cookbook.
Yeah, so currently I am in the works of typing it out, and it is a major work in progress because I only brushed up on a few of the dishes that I perfected, and I have many more to go. I would like to include anywhere as appetizers, main dishes, sides, and desserts, so kind of all in one book for Hungarian food. And I wanted to somewhat be, I guess, an older style cookbook, because when you brush off the dust off a cookbook from, I don't know, many years ago, and the pages are kind of falling apart, and you just know that the recipes are traditional, and it's going to be a very unique dish once you complete it. So that's kind of the what I'm going for. I want the pages to be somewhat frayed,
Yeah, you
or
want that vintage aesthetic. Like
yeah,
somebody's been using this cookbook for like 4 decades and it's like all the family recipes,
exactly.
right?
Although it's manufactured or made in 2024, but the feeling once you open it, you'll have to and blow the dust off.
That's great. So it'll be a combination of recipes and adventures. And who knows, maybe you could do like short adventures will be like appetizers and long
Yeah,
adventures will be a 5-course meal out in the hiking worlds that you do. So I would definitely make sure you take extra SD cards when you go out, just in case you
Yes.
have any more mishaps. So that's an exciting adventure. I feel like everything that you do is you're just moving forward, in a
Yeah.
positive way, learning this, trying this. Now we're doing it out in the fields and in the hikes and,
Yeah.
out in the woods. So I think you're a great inspiration for people that want to try new things. And, you know, I'm excited to keep watching. So let's talk a little bit about this is just like a little hypothetical since you like to cook now. If you could cook a Hungarian dinner for four people that it could be people that you've never met or people that, that are alive now, who would you choose and why?
It would be, so since I already cooked for my family and my grandmother, I'll put that aside. But so my mother's side of the family, the Italian side of the family, my grandmother passed away about a few years ago now during the whole COVID pandemic and everything, and she was a food kind of short. She loved food. She would just have to try every single thing of every plate, and she would come back. If it was a buffet, she would come back with
Oh,
a little portion of each and every dish. So she would definitely be at that table. I know my mama would be at that, my great grandmother would be at that table, my great grandfather would be at that table, and the fourth one, I'll have to think about the fourth one, who I would let in to sit at the table. But those are the three main that I would have there, just because I know my great grandmother, and although I never met my great grandfather before, I know they're both looking down and how far I came so far, and to see where it goes from here. And I also know my mother's side of the family, my grandma Anna, she's looking down, and she's definitely very proud of where I came from and where I'm at right now, and she would absolutely love to try. I know she would make sure she had a nice plate of food just to try
yeah.
and enjoy the dish and ask for more, because that's just how she was. So
Well, it seems like the people that you've chosen are very near and dear to your heart. And,
yeah.
those are probably people that are so proud looking down on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that you draw a lot of inspiration from them.
uh,
Even like your Italian grandma, she seems like the type of lady that was very inspirational in the food department for you, of like a love of let's try new things and risk. And it seems like you would really want to show her all the amazing things that you're cooking,
yeah.
as well as the other people that you've chosen for your table, because I think they all would be proud to sit at a table and eat your
Yeah.
delicious food. Well, this is really exciting. I'm really happy that we got a chance to sit down and talk about your social media, Hungarian Chef Michael, with your recipe videos and your hiking and recipe videos and all the great things that are coming up for you. And keep on practicing Hungarian. I
Yeah.
will do the same. It's a struggle, but it's like a fun struggle. It's a
Yeah.
struggle that you look forward to because you want to do it. You want to feel connected. And I think that's really what this is all about. Even this podcast is connecting people to other people, connecting everyone to you to now follow you on social media and join your journey, just like other people, that you will join their journey when you listen to other episodes or other people that are on social media that I've interviewed before. So, and
Yeah.
that's really what it's all about, connecting Hungarians around us and just knowing that we really are part of one big community, no matter what level of Hungarian we speak or don't speak, like it's in our hearts, like we feel connected to our Hungarian heritage. So, thanks so
Yeah.
much for being here, Michael
Thank
Nemeth, Hungarian Chef Michael. And we will leave all of your social media information in the show notes. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we sign off today?
So I guess one thing I'd like to share is, from all this, I am definitely pushing myself to learn the language for a pretty big reason, is because me and my father will be going to Hungary for the first time. So it'll be my time as well as my father's first time. And we will be going in September. Mid-September is when we booked the flights. Yes. So that's
Wow.
our first time. It'll be his first time leaving the country, and it'll be my second time leaving the country. So
I'm
we're
so
definitely,
excited for you
yeah,
and your
yeah,
dad. That's really
yeah.
exciting. One of my other, and I know she's going to listen to this episode, so I'm not going to say her name, but I know she's also going to be in Hungary at the same time. So
Okay.
I will, maybe I'll connect you and you guys could, have coffee together or a
Yeah.
drink of Paulinka while you're there.
Yeah.
Because I would love to, connect people if I can and when I can. But that's
Yeah.
really exciting for you and your dad. How long are you staying?
We'll be there for about 8 days. I
Mm.
I think it's, yeah, because we leave here Friday, but we don't get there till Sunday, so we kind of
Right.
lose. But yeah, we're there for 8 nights, so it'll be exciting.
That's great. Well, if you need any recommendations, I'm going to
Yeah.
put in my social media post for this episode to send them to Michael. Obviously, I have a
Yeah.
ton of recommendations for you as well because there's so much to do, so many great places to eat. I will
Yeah.
definitely give you my husband and my favorite restaurant that we go to. Um,
Okay.
it's delicious. It's authentic Hungarian food. Some people may say it's a little touristy, but it's not really in the most touristy area, and regular people in the neighborhood eat there. So that's where that's a good sign. Um,
Yeah.
I like people
Yeah.
in the neighborhood eat there. So it's actually called Szeged, and it
Thank-
is right outside the Gellert Bath and Hotel. So yes, I'll send it to you, so no worry. And if anybody else is going to Hungary and wants to eat there too, I will write that in the show notes. But that's really great, authentic food. The last time we were there, because we were in Hungary for 2 weeks, we ate there 3 times.
oh,
That's how good it was. Like lunch one time. So yeah, so
yeah.
it's really good. So many great things. If you need any tour guides, I can point you in the direction as well. I know some lovely people that do
Yeah.
some great work there. And anybody else that has any recommendations for Hungarian chef Michael and his dad, send them over
Yeah.
social media to him because
We-
he's starting to make a list, right?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely am writing things and activities and places to visit and eat, and so I do have a pretty good list right now. But
That's
I'm,
good. Well, we're
I'm
definitely going to make that one of our social media posts so that we can just bombard you with
yeah,
suggestions. So there you go. Once
yeah.
again, Hungarian chef Michael Nemeth, thanks so much for being here on the podcast today. It was great to hear about your Hungarian heritage. It was great to hear about all of the risks you take and how excited you are to take each one of those risks. And you definitely are an inspiration to not only Hungarian people, but also to other people that just can appreciate what you're doing for your heritage. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me today on this episode of the Hungarian Heritage Podcast. And thanks to my guest, Michael Nemeth, for sharing all about his Hungarian heritage journey and his passion for learning and cooking all things Hungarian. Don't forget to check the show notes for this episode to find out how you can connect with Michael and follow him on social media. Also, you should stay tuned to my social media so you can send Michael suggestions for his upcoming first trip to Hungary with his dad. If you have feedback or questions about today's episode, or you would like to connect with me at the podcast, you will also find my email, social media information, and podcast website in the show notes. If you've enjoyed this episode and you're interested in learning more about this Hungarian heritage community that we are building, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to hear from you. Our theme music is Hungarian Dance by Pony Music, used with special license from Envato Market. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcast so we can continue to connect our modern lives with our Hungarian heritage and grow this Hungarian heritage community. Until next time, goodbye everyone. Sziasztok mindenkinek!